I'm not making exceptions, I'm just gonna move a few things around, just in case, yeah.
All right, we'll go ahead and call to order the Ford County Commission meeting. This is meeting number 2022-32. And first up, we have a prayer and from Reverend Jerry Nolte of First United Methodist Church, followed by a pledge of allegiance.
Thank you. Thank you, Commissioners, for allowing the Dodge City Ministerial Fellowship to join you at these times. Friends, let's pray. Oh Lord, we seek your blessing on the tasks that lay before us. Bless our efforts with clear insight, guide our deliberations with wisdom, and be in the work of our commission with clarity, accuracy, so that the decisions that are made are impartial. In these days leading into a new season of life, we are still called upon to make the very best decisions possible for our county. Equip us, O Lord, with skills of discernment and judgment as we consider the merits and pitfalls of each matter that is placed before us. Above all else, may we keep secure in ourselves what we know to be true, just, and fair to all those concerned. That our personal faiths give us strength to act honestly in all matters that are before us. In your name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Thank you.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Okay, first up is the consent agenda, the approval of meeting minutes 2022-30, credit card statement, and additions and abatements. Hattie, do you want to come up and talk to us about the additions and abatements? These are the fun ones here.
Thank you.
These are for 2 years, 2020 and 2021, in the big box ones at the Boda level. They had a fee appraisal done. We talked to our attorney, and he said, well, we could spend another and get another fee appraisal. Not gonna make much difference. He didn't see much, but he could finagle more. So they didn't win, we didn't win, but we made more than we could have. And with the Supreme Court thing that come out, kind of ruling in our favor for the big box, helped that they kept postponing it like 3 times for that to come out. So that did help us at the end too. He says it's a good deal they kept postponing. And we have one more big box coming up in December, and they've rescheduled it like 4 times already, so.
So would this be pertaining to one on 14?
Yes.
And is there only one that's vacant that we have?
We agreed on these 2 years, but for 2022 it rolled. The 2021 rolls to 2022 because it's already done. But for 2023 it's going to change for the new tenants going on.
Right.
So they knew that in our agreement. We said we would do this, but for 2023, because statutorily we're supposed to carry it 2 years. So for that, we would have went on and we said, no, there's too much work going on. And they agreed that, yes, it could change for 2023. And the other one we have in December is another big box. But he can't figure out why they keep postponing. He said it doesn't make any sense. He goes, I don't know if they're waiting for us to come in and give them a figure. But we're not gonna budge because they didn't do the appraisal either. So they really don't have much either, so he said we're gonna go with.
So at what point does somebody step in and say, no,
The
we're not
board
gonna
has to,
extend
as long as
it?
the board keeps letting their attorney postpone it and reschedule. Now, we have to get their agreement, and then they have to call and say, yeah, we agree they can reschedule, but they can reschedule when they want. Yeah.
Okay. I make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I second it.
All right, with a motion second, I'll call a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Up next is approval for claims for payment. It's the amount of $733,713.02. Make a motion to approve the claims.
I second it also.
With the motion and second, any further discussion on it? Hearing none, I'll call a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. We're at the point of the meeting for open public comment. Please limit 5 minutes per individual, 15 minutes per topic. Final action may be deferred until the next county commission meeting unless emergency situation does arise. Any takers? He was gonna pull his whole chair up here. All right, we'll go ahead and close that. No, there is no unfinished business, no legal counsel. We'll go right into the county administrator's report.
First item I have is for City Manager Nick Hernandez. Talk about a Why Not Dodge Marketing Media Specialist.
Chairman,
Afternoon, Nick.
Commissioners.
How are you?
I'm doing great. Doing great. Thank you for having me here today. This is actually on behalf of the Community Facilities Advisory Board. They met last week to discuss the position, or at least a half-time position from a funding perspective in regards to the Why Not Dodge funds. This position would actually be a marketing media specialist for the Why Not Dodge project specifically, so we'd utilize it for advertising and marketing the arena, the swimming pool, the racetrack, all of our legends, you know, just having a little bit more presence on social media, on radio, television. This is basically what we're looking for is half the funding to come from Why Not Dodge, the other half would actually come from the city. It'd be kind of a blended position. Total compensation, including benefits, with a market rate of $73,000. So the amount we're requesting to be approved is $36,500.
So Nick, tell me about, from the city perspective, like what would this person be doing for the city as well?
Well, we're still advertising for a public information officer. The
Okay.
marketing media specialist would actually serve more of our social media presence. It's becoming almost a full-time job, keeping up with just the online presence, whether it be the website or actually social media platforms. So this individual will be dedicated to responding to those questions and concerns on Facebook, Twitter, Snapchat, wherever it may be.
Wow. Okay.
Nick, on on the Why Not Dodge side, we have all the different projects, the Legends, ball fields up there, you have the wireless arena, Raceway Park, Aquatics Park. Is there a component to each one of those right now that's handling at least a portion of this?
There is, that's handling a portion. The problem we have, it's just not very consistent. You know, they're kind of doing, the arena's kind of doing their own little thing. The Legends isn't really doing much as far as advertising goes and marketing. The Lagoon could do a much better job, of course, than what they're doing. And we actually had the aquatics managers were the ones running it from the Lagoon, which is just not in their expertise. And so by creating this position, we think that we could probably reduce some of our overall future expenses, especially in having to provide for as much marketing and campaign and promotion as we've seen with those other entities.
So the reason I ask that is, and what I'm getting to is are those responsibilities part of the subsidy package that we have for each one of those entities now, something that we can back a portion of that back out and help pay for this position?
I would love to say that you could back it out, but I think it's probably more going to be subsidized and then increasing the presence from a marketing campaign side of it.
What's the actual salary of this position?
With benefits, they included, so total compensation $73,000.
So would you say that person's getting paid 60 or?
40, 45.
Okay.
You know, this is full family benefits is what you're talking about. I mean, you'll be under 50 for sure.
Okay. So, gentlemen, before us, we have the option to approve this. Basically, table it for further discussion or disapprove of the position itself altogether. so I think we'd be looking for a motion on one of those three. I guess going further into this, is there things in the county that we would want included in something like this as well? I mean, do we want, I mean, we don't have a lot of things we market, but I mean, there is Home of Stone, there is, the expo, there is, I mean, all the same.
I spoke to Nick individually outside of this about helping with the expo.
That was an immediate thought of mine too, is that, while the expo isn't a Why Not Dodge project,
Yeah,
you know, we've always maintained that, you know, that venue brings events into town, and it's really purely been for the benefit of Why Not Dodge sales revenues and that kind of thing. So, and we've advocated and lobbied for Why Not Dodge dollars to help pay for that bond payment because of that. This position, I would think, that would be a great fit for trying to market the events and things that go on out there as well. So I think that's something I'd like to see explored through this.
I think we can take a look at it.
is the city also using it for Good Hill, things like that?
No,
No. Okay. Anything inside Mariah Hills, doing anything
well,
with that?
it's a split position, so half the funding's coming from the city.
To
so-
use that?
To use for city,
Yep.
associated.
Entities, yeah.
but then the other half is for the Why Not Dodge entities.
Okay.
Would you gentlemen consider putting some money in the pot to have them help with county things? Maybe not, I don't wanna change this conversation we're having right now, because that's not what we were talking about, but maybe if we get this approved, we can come back in the next meeting or something, maybe we can work and.
It could even be as small, as just helping with like the photography, videography, and some of the marketing cost. Have our individual kind of be the lead on a lot of that, but just with the advertising cost per se would be something that would have to, or can be explored.
Well, yeah, I would think that this person is probably gonna wanna be in charge of the video boards that are around the community as well, and we have one out there at the expo. So I mean, that would be big on that side of it. Yeah.
What about Roundup? Are you involved with Roundup?
That would have to be a completely different subject with Roundup.
Conversation, yeah, I think they're a standalone entity, so.
The one thing too we have to remember is, at this level, you get a certain type of employee. If we want to make it a much more significant and more involved type position, I think if Roundup puts some money in, the county puts some money in, then you're truly looking at that next level type
Right.
Department.
marketing person.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't, are we looking at maybe talking about tabling this until we can talk through a couple of these other
I think
things?
you have your meeting tonight for approval, right?
You do.
This would be my suggestion, if you approve it as recommended, Nick and I will work on the photography, the equipment and stuff on the back end. With the agreement that we'll put that in the job description, that they'll work on county projects as well. Not open-ended that they work for the county, but we'll make sure we'll enumerate what that percentage would be. Does that sound agreeable?
I think we'll have to visit on it.
Yeah, we can visit on it at least. But if we approve theirs, that's the project for them, and Why Not Dodge?
I think we could enhance this position.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Does anybody want to make an motion to approve?
Well, I'm sitting here going, if we approve this, how do we negotiate afterwards where we're gonna be with the county and the projects we'd like to see included on
Let's see.
Well, that could be something that's a standalone agreement
Yeah.
outside of this position. It's just basically just a simple one-page memorandum of understanding is kind of what I was thinking, that you would put together and just figure out exactly what that individual would be providing, what the county's providing, and work through that
Yeah,
portion of it.
You and I have talked about this specifically before, about the economies of scale. And a lot of times we'll work with, Nick and I specifically will work together to get something done that's not budgeted, that it's helping everybody. And this is just another way to do that.
And I can't tell you exactly what it would end up looking like, because I just don't know.
I make a motion, we table it for further discussion.
I'm gonna second it.
All right, so we have a motion and a second to table the marketing media specialist for all Why Not Dodge projects. For further discussion, I'll go ahead and call a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, thank you.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
Nick. I think it's a good idea. I just wanna get some more details hammered on.
I'm not the person that usually presents this item. She actually had a tap. You know.
It's like, let me get out
I
of
was
here.
gonna say, the true expert's still not here today, so get the feel in. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Nick.
We have multiple items for county engineer John Hobby Walks. So 2, 1, 2, 3, and 4 will be for him.
When we
The
get started.
representative
That's right.
for Kirk and Michael.
When we get started.
When that, real quick, when that discussion comes up next time, like for the tabling, currently, we gave up our 50,000, right, of the county money from Why Not Dodge, but the city still collects 150,000, right, for work on the books and managing that. I just want that clarification too, right? That's still correct, right?
Yeah.
Okay, I just want to make sure they haven't changed that some way that I've seen. Okay. Thank you.
You know, the problem with that, the problem with one person taking care of all those things, probably where would you find somebody to be qualified to take care of the expo center, take care of the car racing deal, take care of all these things he's talked about? Who would be qualified to do that? It would take one whale of a person, and you can't buy them for $50,000-$60,000.
Well, but I don't think we're talking about a person that's managing those facilities. They're
No.
just doing the marketing part of it.
Just social
They're-
media.
They're just doing the
In other words,
advertising.
they're gonna be in the beer garden most of the time.
In their bed, in a Snuggie, put it on the phone. Just kidding. I have no idea. All right, Mr. Kirk and Michael.
Yeah, now on to the interesting stuff.
That's right. We got many in a row.
Talk about roads and bridges.
That's right.
Gets me excited.
This is what we do.
Well, social media, not so much, but road and bridge.
Right.
That's my thing. First item on the agenda, this is a project we've been talking about and working on for a good part of the summer. As you recall, we had originally looked at doing resurfacing 102 Road. Due to the cost being beyond the county's budget, we shifted focus to a portion of 113 Road. This would be from Comanche Street north 1 mile to Highway 50. Kirk and Michael was finalizing the plans for construction, and what I'm presenting today is a request for bids. That if approved, then we would ask the clerk to post this in the local newspaper to begin advertised to solicit bids for construction. With the plan to open the bids, or actually we're going to receive bids until 11 a.m. on November 7th of this year. And I said receive because we're going to do electronic bidding. That's how we're doing things these days. And the contractors would post their bids through this Quest CDN website that Kirk and Michael uses. I would compile the bids right after lunch, and then I could bring them to the commission meeting that same day at the 3:30 p.m. commission meeting, share them with the commissioners. And assuming that we have a bid that fits within the budget, the commission can choose to go forward with it or not, either way. So that's what the premise of the bid would be. What we're planning to do with the project for that half mile is to remove the existing asphalt pavement, recondition the underlying soil, and then we would go back with a geogrid, geosynthetic material that would, it's kind of like a carpeting of sorts that would go across the entire dirt base there, pushed a crushed stone or crushed concrete, rock material on top of the geogrid, and then put asphalt surfacing on top of that compacted rock or concrete.
Will it be 4 lanes?
It'll be 4 lane, it'll be the same way it is now. We're not gonna 4 lane it all the way to the highway. It will be 4 lanes where it is currently, which is not quite half the mile. But this project is just to replace that pavement that is there currently. It's, I think the county overlaid it, was that last year, Chris? Did you overlay last, in 2021, on 113? Last
2 years ago.
Was it 2 years ago? But it's starting to show some wear and tear, bumps again, some push outs. So the overlay has helped Band-Aid it over, but with the amount of traffic on it, and truck traffic, and with the commercial activity and construction that's going on in town, the truck traffic is probably gonna continue to increase, and it's gonna get chewed up pretty quick, if some more substantial action is not done to that road.
John, with this geosynthetic fabric, does it bring it up to speed pretty much like highway would be done? Like, for example, like the groups that are currently gonna be working out here on the highway, are they doing something very similar to this? Is it different thicknesses or grades or?
So the fabric, the geogrid that we're talking about is more like it looks like a netting,
Okay.
almost. And what it does, we've used a lot of different roadways, but it helps distribute the load across the road surface. So instead of, if your wheel is putting pressure right under the tire, it's gonna help spread that weight across a bigger area, so you're not getting quite as much load right in one spot.
Okay.
So if you do start to get failure of your underlying soil, it'll help bridge over that weak spot in the soil. And I'm talking clear below the asphalt, the rock and everything. When you get enough loading on it over time, it will destroy the
Subbase.
dirt down below.
How, have we done this on other roads in the county?
Not that I'm aware of in the county.
Okay.
We've done it on, Kirk and Michael has done it on other projects and other places. KDOT typically, on a highway length project, they would do a cement treated subgrade, similar to the reclamation we did on Jewel Road, except they would usually do a thinner depth. They would do like a 6-inch deep cement treated subgrade, and then they would do thicker asphalt. So what we're doing is the geogrid crushed stone, a thicker crushed stone, I think it's 13 inches thick is what Terracon recommended in their geotechnical report, and the 6 inches of asphalt paving on this road.
Why are we looking at this? Why are we looking at maybe what we did on other roads? Is it because of the traffic?
Well, that's because of the traffic and long-term performance.
Okay.
So it's been quite a while since the county has done a road reconstruction. The last project that I can recall, and Chris might be able to correct me, but since I've been here, we reconstructed 14th Avenue going up from Ross Boulevard north to the Catholic Church up Iron Road. That was built more like a city street because it has curb and gutter on it. It's concrete pavement. I believe that was done with fly ash treated subgrade and then concrete pavement back in the day. Back then, geogrid really wasn't, I don't know if it was even around quite yet, but it wasn't used very much at all.
Okay.
This product was invented more in the southeastern United States where they have a lot of bogs and wetlands to help go
Distribute
over
water.
very unstable soil. But it really, in my opinion, really helps pavement last a long time because it provides a very sturdy foundation underneath your base material.
What it'll eliminate, the big issue we deal with is rutting. So semi trucks driving the same path constantly.
Right.
This will help eliminate or ease that stress, at least. I shouldn't say eliminate, it'll help ease that rutting by distributing the load like you talked about.
And when you think about this price of doing a geosynthetic fabric and then having the layers above it versus a concrete road, is there a huge price difference with the concrete? Is that why we wouldn't look that direction, since this is something we're always redoing, is the same stretch?
That's a difficult question to answer to a certain degree. The difference in cost between concrete and asphalt on something of this length oftentimes has to do with the availability of contractors in the area
Okay.
that do larger paving projects. And so obviously here in Dodge City, we have an asphalt paving company that does longer projects. We don't really have any concrete companies that do, located here in Dodge City, that will do a mile of paving.
Well, they're doing it now at Iron Road. And they're going from Ross to, I guess, what is that, Sixth? To the Catholic Church. And they've already done from Avenue A to Sixth. Yeah, I mean, that's Building Solutions has won that bid, but, I mean, that's, I guess in my mind, I don't know roads, so I'm trying to get my thought around this, because when I first read geosynthetic, I was thinking, and first off, I don't know what that means, and why did we have not looked at that before? And then at what point, if we're gonna go out for bids, would we not just say, okay, what's our best concrete price? What's our best asphalt price? And just get whatever that comes back as, because I would assume the concrete would hold up longer than the asphalt.
Typically would. The other part of it with concrete, you want to, for a roadway, you want to go with 7 inches minimum thickness, because it's got reinforcing bars at the joints.
Yep.
And 6 inches is not really conducive to having the dowel bars in it. So generally the concrete paving industry says 7 inches is your minimum thickness. So we would go an inch thicker with the concrete.
Okay.
And I don't know what the prices are on concrete for the Iron Road project is
Right.
necessarily versus this asphalt. But on Jewel Road, the reason we did the reclamation was it was a cost, was less expensive to do the reclamation versus what we're proposing here. But because we're having some performance issues on that project, we're reluctant to jump in and do another one of those right away. And so we're looking at something a little safer, more tried and true, if you will, with the geosynthetic. The cost of the geosynthetic compared to everything else is pretty minimal, really. It's usually $1 to buy it, for the contractor to buy it and put it down is usually $1.50 to $2 a square yard, which is a fraction of the cost of the crushed rock and the asphalt paving.
Okay.
So it's a pretty low cost insurance policy for your payment. Now it lasts longer.
And how long does the lifespan of a road like that? It seems like we've always redone this road.
Well, not this mile, not this mile.
Right.
You're thinking of the mile south of
South of it,
Comanche, yes.
right.
This mile has only been, when we did the initial expansion of the 4-lane.
It was done then.
It was done then, and then we've done the one overlay over top of that, and that's it.
That's it.
Yeah.
I bet you when you get done with it, you wish you put concrete in. How many trucks are coming up that road?
Oh, that's what I was
If
just
you
keep
drive,
thinking.
you drive down Comanche and turn to the north, you'll never believe how many semis are going down that road. You know, it's unbelievable. So I'm with you. I think we need to have the best road, not
I know you guys brought this, and maybe that's a pretty good solution. I think what Chris is getting at, and Commissioner Snook is getting at as well, is, you know, we did that overlay a couple of years ago, and I feel like we did that overlay to do a Band-Aid because we felt like we needed to put a foot down and say, no, we need to do some roads outside of Dodge City. And it feels like we keep coming back and having to keep spending time and money on that road right there. But we got some other projects out here in the county that need to be done. And if this won't stand up to the test of time like we need it to in order to move on to some other projects, then maybe this isn't the route that we go. Now, I'm not saying it's not, but I think those are the part of the thought processes that are going on here that we're saying we're spending a lot of my time and money on 2 miles of 113th road when we've got plenty of other projects that we need to be working on.
What I can comment on that is the section that we're talking about with the crushed stone and the 6 inches of asphalt and terra concrete floors is a 30-year design life. So it's not a 5 or 10 year longevity. When I say 30 years, that doesn't mean you can't do anything for 30 years and it's going to be fine. It still requires routine maintenance after a period of time, 5 or 10 years, you shouldn't be doing chip seals and start looking at overlays again. But it should last in good condition for quite some time. So it's not a short-term solution. And I'm not opposed to bidding at alternate concrete necessarily. Obviously, that would take some time to add that in and
Sure.
revise your plans to do so.
Yeah, I understand that, and you know, if this road is gonna perform for us, I'm not necessarily opposed to it, but I wanna make sure that it's gonna perform for us, and that we're not coming back in, you know, 2-3 years, and we gotta do something, and we have to put off another project in order to do it.
So that's certainly our intent. Things, long-term things that we can't control is what else the traffic gonna do on that road. There's developments in that area that increases traffic significantly that we're not aware of now. That could change things over time. But as conditions are now, we projected a moderate growth, a 1% per year growth over the 30 years, which ends up being about a 40% overall growth in that time period. That's what that pavement was designed off of. It wasn't designed the exact same traffic for 30 years. It anticipates some moderate growth.
Gentlemen, I'd make a motion to approve authorizing the county clerk to sign the request for bid and place it in the newspaper to advertise the bid, and for Kirkland and Michael to send it to contractors' plan rooms which contractors use to find project bid opportunities.
And just for clarification on this, is this the geosynthetic fabric way of doing it?
Yeah, I think that's what, yes, okay, that's what they presented.
Right.
And I would discuss more if we get a second, but.
Yeah, I'll second it, and then let's open it up for discussion on that.
We still have the opportunity to reject the bids.
Yeah.
You know, if in the meantime, if there's any way of finding out an idea of what that difference in cost is or anything, John, that's a pretty short window, I understand, but even to give us an idea of what it would be great, but.
Yeah, with concrete, I would, and I'll talk to Terracon, because I'm the one that did the pavement design, but I'm thinking you would probably look for the thinner crushed concrete, just because of the base, crushed rock base, because concrete pavement itself is more rigid, so you wouldn't need as much support below, most likely. So we can find out from them what their recommendation would be for concrete pavement, and then run some price numbers on that and come back with a comparison.
Okay.
Asphalt versus concrete.
I mean, is it possible, just even on that same scenario, just to contact the city and see what they're paying for Iron Road to go in?
Oh, sure.
I mean, that's a
Yeah, it's
4-lane road with
it's
curb
all
and guttering and,
Yeah, all the bids are part of their commission meeting minutes, so it's all
yeah,
public
I mean, to where we can just look at,
If that road is gonna be built to the same
I would think it would be different.
specs, I mean,
It's got
it's not got the
drainage
same
and.
kind of traffic on it, is what I mean.
Right, right. It's got drainage and curb and guttering and sidewalks, and we don't need that. I mean, it's,
And they would have their bid items separated out, the concrete pavement, it wouldn't be just X number of dollars to build this road, they would have individual bid items for the pavement, the base, and things like that.
yeah.
May not be exactly apples to apples, but we could.
Get close.
Yeah, disseminate the different costs and get a good estimate.
And just for some more information on that to go with everything, speaking with Sheriff here, we could set up his radar counter and get some more traffic data on that north section of the road up there. The last time we did a traffic count was on the south side of South Comanche, and that was 10,000 cars a day.
Most of them going 65 to 95.
I think we got 110 on a couple of them.
We did. It's unreal.
We know, we were talking, we know there's at least some more added semi-traffic to the north, that, new businesses opened up at the intersection, and, trash trucks, obviously.
It's unbelievable how many semis go from Comanche on north. Unbelievable.
There's a lot.
Well, there's a new transportation hub getting ready to open, and I have a feeling they might just bringing that around and coming down, or,
Yeah.
I mean, that might be a thoroughfare.
There's plenty.
We can send it out and see what the bids come back, and then we still have the opportunity to say no at that point if we decide that's not the direction that goes.
All right, so we have a motion and second, I'll go ahead and call a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Nay.
Let's jot down a couple of minutes real quick. Okay. We'll move forward with advertising and gathering bids in. The second and third items on the agenda, Kirk Michael assisted Ford County with applying for funding from KDOT to replace 2 bridges. These are, or KDOT has enhanced funding with their Kansas Local Bridge Improvement Program this year, as well as the next 4 years following, from the bipartisan infrastructure legislation disbursement that the state of Kansas is receiving. So they were putting out the call to cities and counties that have deficient bridges to submit projects for funding to get bridge replacements done. We did apply these 2 projects. We, I'll be open with this, we won't know probably for 2 months at best if they are selected for funding this year. But in my opinion, if the funding is there for 5 more years, if we keep applying, they will get funded, because they're going to have a lot of enhanced funding, I should say, but right now 2.5 times the funds that they had previously for this program. With that in mind, I know Kirk Michael has submitted a lot of bridge projects on city and county behalf for this funding round, and there's only 2 years to get these out to bid, so I'm concerned with the amount of bridges coming in, of just having enough time to get them done. And so that's why I'm going ahead and asking the county to sign this design agreement for us to do the survey and design of these projects, so that we have more time and can try to stay ahead of the game a little bit and not get behind and risk losing the money. We certainly don't ever want to do that for anybody. So there's 2 different design agreements. One is for off-system bridge. This is located on 120 Road, 3.1 miles north and 6 miles west of Spearville. This actually has design and construction engineering services in it. This is basically the same type of agreement we did on the bridge there west of Ford. That was a steel beam bridge. It was built by contractors through the same funding program with KDOT, the Bridge Improvement Program. So on this bridge, we've stipulated a design fee of $35,000 and services during construction. So we'll be out there on a part-time basis while the contractor is building the bridge, and tracking their quantities for payment, writing any change orders if they're needed, things like that, processing the contracts. We would put $25,000 in engineering fee for the construction services on that bridge. So grand total for Bridge 50 would be $60,000 lump sum. And I can go ahead and explain the other one if you want to vote them individually, or do we need to do them individually since they're 2 items? Good. I'll go ahead and explain the other one. I think it makes sense to discuss them at the same time, and you can hold 2 different votes. The second bridge is off-system Bridge 101, which is about 1 mile north and 3.7 miles east of Windhorst. It's on 135 Road, spanning Coon Creek. The proposed scope is to replace it's currently a 3-span concrete bridge, and we'll go back with a single-span steel beam bridge. So instead of having 2 sets of piling, we just have the 2 abutments on one on each end. Again, steel bridge with steel decking and a gravel surface. And we're proposing the same fee on that bridge as well, $35,000 to complete the survey and design, any permitting, and $25,000 for part-time inspection during construction of the bridge. So that's $60,000 total per bridge. And that didn't bring the applications with me, but the cost of the bridges are anticipated to be, I think, in the $300,000 to $400,000 range, cost of construction.
The difference between 11-ton, 13-ton, I mean, is that a difference of just a truck? Or the same truck drives that, right?
So the load rating is based on the Kansas load rating trucks, and they use 3 different truck configurations typically. So they have a 2-axle truck, then they have a 5-axle semi-trailer truck, and then they use the double axle or a double trailer, which would be 7 axles, I think, truck.
Okay.
For load ratings. Each of these bridges actually have 3 different tonnages on the sign. I just noted the individual tonnage, or the lowest rated one. So 11 and 13 tons. So typical pickup truck is like about 2 to 3 tons. And you're talking about a pickup truck weight unloaded.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah.
So 11 tons, you're an unloaded truck at best, semi-truck, but nothing to load on it. These are also both narrow bridges, so we would go back with wider bridges.
Okay.
Like the one, I think, was only 15 feet wide or something like that.
A loaded grain truck's gonna be
Loaded grain truck's gonna, legally loaded grain truck will be,
over. Loaded grain truck will be over.
43 tons. Yeah, well, a semi-truck, legal loaded is between, I think they've changed the laws in Kansas a little bit, but between about 43 and 48 tons. So not even, this bridge wouldn't even come close.
Small truck.
So, John, we approve this and nothing happens unless it comes from the state that it's an approved project, right?
What I would like to do is go ahead and get them scheduled for survey, get the survey done and get started on design. If the county's not comfortable with that, we can word it so nothing can happen until we hear from the state.
Okay.
Either way, we're at least accelerating a little bit of time so that we're not waiting for the state announcement and then going through the process of taking this commission meeting, in January or something like that, February. At least we got one road across. But I would like to go ahead and survey in the winter.
My concern is that, we got down here, KDOT may fund up to 85% of the cost of construction and engineering inspection. Does that include any of this that we're talking about?
It would be the $25,000 for inspection fee.
Okay. The $35,000 part,
That's all county.
that would be all county,
Correct.
which if we turn you loose on it right now, we're gonna spend that $35,000 and then we may not get a bridge done anyway. Is that fair to say?
That is a potential. Again, as I see it if the funding, and I'll say, if the funding remains for 5 years, as they say, I think they would both get done within that time frame. But I certainly can't guarantee that. KDOT has a selection process. I think bridge-wise, that these are 2 of the worst, if not the worst, bridges in the county also. They're gonna need to be replaced eventually. I think one was 80 80-some years old, one was 90,
85, and the other one's 92.
92.
Well, I hate that uncertainty part of it. But well, if we're gonna need to get it replaced one way or another.
I like 85%.
I really like 85%.
And we've applied twice and been selected on both of them. So we have not been rejected on any of these projects yet.
I would say I don't know that you'll get both of them in the first year, because KDOT had about 5 times as many requests as they have money this first go around.
Should we just submit the 92-year-old bridge versus the 85-year-old bridge?
Well, I mean, they've both been submitted, but yeah, when they'll get awarded, I don't know.
The submission part is already done though.
That's already done.
Yeah.
That was done about a month ago. That doesn't cost anything to submit applications. That's the fun part.
I'm gonna go ahead and make a motion to approve the agreement between Ford County and Kirkland Michael for off-system bridge 50. I guess we have this on separate deals. I'd make it for both of them,
Okay, so I'll second the off-system bridge 50. And have a discussion. If someone would like to say anything about the 85-year-old bridge?
It is 50. That's bridge 50.
Yep.
It's the 85-year-old bridge.
and it's the 85-year-old bridge.
All right, I'll call a vote. All those in favor?
Now, what are you voting on, Mr. Kelly?
We are voting on the motion to approve Kirkmichael to go out for bids on the off-system bridge 50, which is the first of the two. Only. That's the first one we're voting on.
Well, we're just gonna do survey and design.
Correct.
The
Yeah.
bidding will come
Bidding
later.
later.
Survey
Survey
and
is
half or so later.
Okay, I know what you're talking about now.
All right, so we call the vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, that motion passes. Now moving on to off-system bridge 101.
I'd make a motion to approve the agreement between Ford County and Kirkland Michael on off-system bridge 101 as well.
And I will second that. With a motion second on this one, any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, thank you, gentlemen. Appreciate that very much.
Thank you.
Okay, the fourth item for me on the agenda, I'm not done yet. Commissioner Tess, like, kidding me? He's still going? So this is the county engineer's report for the month. I'll make it brief. I've been up here for a while. I'm gonna skip to the chase on the hottest items on the docket here. The Hill-Ortiz plant traffic impact study and the subsequent plans for improving 112 and Outlaw roads. Kirkland Michael, we were contracted for design, survey and design of these projects by Ford County and KDOT. On September 1st, we submitted the PS&E plans, what KDOT refers to them as basically the 99% complete plans. So that's the next to final step in completing the plans before they go to bids by KDOT. KDOT will review those plans in the next month and a half and give us final comments. Basically what they're looking at this point is the bid items that we put in the plans to make sure that they jive with KDOT's bid items. And they'll give us any comments about the first week of November. We will then finalize the plan 100% and KDOT will get ready to bid that project. That's if, assuming that the right-of-way and utility, right-of-way acquisition, utility, and relocation can be completed in a timely manner. So as far as planned development, we're on track. We're ready to finish off with the bids here in December. A few other projects in the works. The low water crossing on 127 road between Kettle and Marshall. We had noted before that the Corps of Engineers had said they thought it would take them 45 to 60 days to process their permit. We hadn't heard anything after 60 days, so we did reach out to them, and they said they got backed up and didn't have it quite done, but they were working on it currently, and we look to have their permit completed in the near future. I had in my notes that we had not received the water resources permit. Ford County had it, and I realized it went straight to Chris at the road and bridge shop. So the Department of Water Resources permit is done. Now we're just waiting on the Corps of Engineers.
When was the last time you talked to them, John?
Last week. Last week of September. And then off-system bridge 97, we completed the field check of the preliminary plans. When I was here last month, we're working on getting quotes from geotechnical firms to take the soil samples and provide the foundation design. And with that, we're looking to bid this project in March of 2023. And with the timing of it, and with the Corps going to take another month or so to finish their permitting, I just thought I would present out that it might make sense to look at bidding those two projects together in March. And I wanted to ask a response from the commissioners if you want to plow forward with 127 road as soon as we get that permit, then we can certainly do that. Or we can maybe look at bidding them together and have one contractor try to do both projects at the same time.
127, and which one were you talking about?
The off-system 97 bridge, which is on 134 road, south of Jewel, south of Jewel Road.
Right.
That would mean they're both getting built either next summer or next fall of 2024, if we did them together.
I think we bid them together. My personal opinion.
Okay.
You get any economies out of that?
I think we would, yes, I think we would. They would have equipment, they're both in the same part of the county, both locations, and they would have their equipment there close by. You can do them both concurrently.
Okay.
I don't know if that necessarily requires a formal vote. It's really more of an opinion. But it'll come when we go to get the request for bids, come up and get on 113 road here. Unless there's any comments from the other two commissioners.
So you say we do need an action item on that, or is that?
I don't think so. I just
Oh,
was
okay.
asking if either one of them had an opinion to share, if they were fine with planning to bid them both together in the spring.
I think it's fine to put them together.
Okay. That's what we-
Assuming Army Corps of Engineers has their ducks in a row by next spring.
I think they will.
As one of them famous comedians said, hit or die.
That's right. Going back to the project from last year on the reclamation of Jewel Road, we discussed a little bit about that earlier. Chris and I met with representatives from APAC on the project site late this morning. They discussed about, they have a new manager here at the Dodge City plant, so we're explaining to him kind of the basis of the project. The cracks that we're seeing present, we saw them on site together. We talked about what we would propose APAC do moving forward. I'm going to follow up with him on an email about the types of action to seal the cracks that we'd like to see, and then he's going to go back and talk to his upper management and get back to us with, if they want to counter offer, if they'll go along with what we're proposing. So there's one small area near 123 Road, which it looks like, and talking with Terracon, the actual subgrade soil that was below the reclamation is failing. It's moved, and it's opened up a pretty wide crack on the outer part of the eastbound lane. We don't feel like that was anything related to at fault of the contractor. We feel like that happened below what the work that they did. So we were suggesting that we would like to see that either patched or an overlay placed over it, and because it was, in our opinion, not the fault of the contractor, the county would pay for that work. That's maybe a quarter-mile stretch or eighth-mile stretch of one lane. The rest of the project that's experiencing cracking, I'd like to hear their opinion about whether actually putting sealant in the individual cracks would be more advantageous for them, or actually spraying a liquid oil like sand seal, similar to what the county would do. And we had discussed that of being at the contractor's cost because it is cracking preliminarily.
What, John, on the piece where we had the soil base failing, was how far down there was it?
The
Is
failure.
it something we should have picked up in our sampling, our cores beforehand? And we had,
Well, when you go out and core and sample a project for design, you truly do just take samples every, I can't remember exactly how often they did it, but about every quarter to a half mile. I think about every quarter mile, Terracon took a sample. And so, and then you have to decide, do you want to take a core on the northbound or the westbound lane, eastbound lane?
I don't know what the grid looks like, so.
Yeah, so it's just, a lot of times stuff like that, unless you were just lucky and core that exact spot, because they might have taken a core on the north side of the road and our failures on the south side. So you try to judge what's the appropriate expenditure to get the information you need without coring every 20 feet of the whole road and spending a ton of money for nothing, for no additional information, so. Yeah, it could have been possible that they would have cored that spot and found it, but maybe not. Just
Like I
maybe
say,
not.
I don't know what the grid looks like, I don't know how deep they core.
They generally went 5 feet deep, so they would have gone plenty deep enough to have gone through that layer. Most projects that I've done, we would core about every 1 per mile and 1 per half mile at most, because this was a different action than what Ford County has done. And it is a deeper action, more, let's say, custom designed to each mile, depending on soil conditions. Terracon did do quite a bit more boring than on a typical project. They didn't necessarily find that exact spot, but it is really just the outside, maybe 5 feet on the south side of the road. So, had they cored in the middle part of the road or on the north side of the road, they wouldn't have hit that exact spot. It would have been pretty lucky to actually find it. You know, sometimes just weather conditions can change and it can cause soil to shift unexpectedly, or I don't know how much you get out here, but we had seismic activity in Ellsworth where I live. I felt tremors. That can affect things, so it's really hard to say what caused it exactly. But we do feel like that particular spot was below what was done through the contractor's actions. So we don't feel like they're at fault.
It's gonna be interesting to see as we go through the next several years, whether putting an overlay on there helps, or whether we
Compared to the other spots, yeah.
keep having to come back to that same spot over and over and over again.
The other interesting spot about that, where it's the worst, is right next, there's a tree, hedgerow right next, pretty close to the road, that shadows the road all the time. So, how that might have had any influence on it, potentially. Not necessarily when they did the construction, but just over time, having a shadow in there or having a tree row close by.
It's interesting, just sitting on this side of the desk, I'm really getting curious about what concrete costs compared to asphalt right now. You know, like, you know, we talk about projects like this where there's problems, you know, even after the pour, immediately after the pour, where you almost think, man, what if we just came back and did these roads for 50-year lifespans, or whatever that concrete is? I mean, maybe it's longer than that, I don't know. But just to kind of figure out where we're going.
Well, again, when you talk about lifespan, it's all variable based on the thickness of the base you put down, the thickness
Right.
of the concrete, so,
Right.
Based on the traffic.
and the traffic.
Yep.
Yeah, that's the one part we can't control. You know, some industry comes in 5 years down the road, a big cheese plant that no one was aware of
Sure.
when it was built.
Yeah.
That can change a lot of things.
Well, I just
That's
keep
not the
thinking-
case here, obviously, it was built a year ago.
Yeah, I just keep thinking of 14th going north. I mean, we have all those trash trucks and everything else that keep running up and down that thing, plus all the highway, kids, traffic. I mean, it's just, that's a busy, busy street, and it just seems like it holds up so well that, you know, our counterpart, the city, keeps putting those in all over, to where maybe that's something we need to think about, like on some of our busier streets, is just coming back with concrete, making it impressive.
Certainly a worthy question to ask.
Yeah. Okay.
Before we move on from that, while we're talking about that, is, with the possibility of these heavier trucks that are coming, we need to address what kind of traffic we allow to run on the roads that we're building. I mean, we didn't really probably build Jewel Road out there to handle 120,000 pound super tankers.
It really depends on how much load is on the individual axle.
On the axle,
Yeah.
I get
So-
that, but
So-
yeah,
So pavement is designed on how many axle loads is expected to run across that pavement in its lifetime. And I think it's a 15,000 pound load on an axle is what it's based off of. They call it diesel equivalent single axle load. So you'll guesstimate based on traffic today and, you know, how much is vehicles, how much is trucks, how much are you projecting in the future? Is it gonna see 10 million axle loads in his lifetime? Is it gonna see 5 million? And that's why you base your thickness and your foundation with those loads. But, you know, it's certainly a good question, not only with the dairies or the cheese plant, but could there be supply trucks with milk coming in from, I mean, we don't necessarily know where all the dairies are, could it be, if they're
well,
local?
those are the ones I'm talking about. You
Yeah.
know, you're talking about weight, you know, those being some super tanker type transports coming in.
'Cause without knowing where the dairy is gonna be, yeah, how do you design for that currently?
No, I know. What I'm saying is, if we were to have one got built over in, you know, say western Edwards County or right there in eastern Ford County or something like that, do we control their movement? Do we control their movement and route them to, you know, a state highway rather than letting them come across our county roads?
I think that would be a great idea, 'cause certainly Jewel Road, for instance, was not considering that large of an increase in traffic
Right.
all at once, for a large dairy facility, for instance. So, yeah, if a 1,000 head dairy were to get built somewhere that was wanting to use Jewel Road, it'd be like, without putting more asphalt on it, it wouldn't hold up very long.
Yeah, I think that's something we need to be keeping in mind here as we
Absolutely.
watch this peripheral businesses start to develop, that we try to safeguard our investment here as best we can.
Yeah, absolutely. And wind farms too. I mean, we know there's potential more wind farms coming out in the eastern part of the county especially. Don't want to see that new road get pummeled by large wind tower trucks. And a few final items on the, we were doing permit applications for replacing the timber culvert on 123 road, 1/2 mile north of Jewel Road. The course that they were gonna get on that permit as soon as they finished the 27 permit. We did bring that one up with them as well. But all the other permits have been received for that particular project. Is that the county's already done a project there, just a quarter mile away on the same road, basically the same type of structure. I don't foresee any issues in getting that permit. Just going through the steps.
Is it on the same drainage area too?
It is, yes, it's on the same drainage channel. So shouldn't be much of an issue there. Previously, we've been working with KDOT, negotiating a contract with the county to take over maintenance of access roads which are constructed as part of the Highway 50 expansion west of Dodge City. I provided comments to KDOT on August 5th towards that agreement. I did get some comments back from KDOT last week, late, so I didn't have a chance to delve into them deeply or send them on to the county councilor as of yet, but we did get a response back, so I believe they've agreed to revise some of the language there. So we'll try to get that buttoned up and hopefully have a final agreement to present to commissioners in November when I'm here. We've talked previously about with the Hillmore Cheese Plant, a proposal to rename 112 and Outlaw Roads to Hillmore Way. That would have to be coordinated with the city since the city has annexed part of 112 Road. I'm working on a draft resolution, and I talked with the city director of engineering before I came to the meeting today, and he was going to provide me a draft of what the city would present. We try to coordinate those two together and get that before the zoning board in Ford County first, and then we can take it to the county commissioners once it goes through that process. Okay, a couple final items then. Like I said that once, but I'm truly getting to the end. Cost share program through KDOT. We have applied for funding to put towards the resurfacing of the 102 road from Highway 50 to Garnett. KDOT did take applications again in September, and we reapplied for that same project again in September. They also have some additional funds from the bipartisan infrastructure legislation, so keep our fingers crossed when we get some money to help defer some of the costs on these projects. And the final item I was going to note, the Commissioner Boyes, you brought up before, concern that was expressed with the railroad crossing on 400 highway there in front of the Cargill plant. I just sent an email to the District 6 engineer in Garden City expressing that concern, and they had asked for clarification, was there a train blocking the highway, and was the concern with potentially having a rear end accident or traffic on the road? Do you recall?
It's lighting. It's
It's
the
just the lighting,
Yeah.
gates? Okay.
It's the fact that they live in Garden City and don't come to Dodge.
If they would just drive out here and look at it, they would recognize it.
Yeah.
So he did say that it's not currently on their upgrade list, but he had forwarded on to the rail coordination unit, which is in Topeka, not any closer than Garden City.
Oh.
But with KDOT, and they would examine the current configuration, and
Call Travis Stockfleet, who works for him, and have him go look at it.
they would look into it, and
Okay.
and he recognized it does not